Welcome back. Now we are on to very serious business. Our first conversation will be on reactions from the presidential broadcast on the Naira redesign, and already, of course, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has, of course, said that steps have already been taken towards of course, ensuring that the old 200 Naira notes are back in circulation. So before we commence our conversation this morning, let's listen to our correspondent, Yemia Ajayi. He was out on the streets of Abuja, you know, to feel the pulse of Nigerians, of course, following the 1,500 Naira notes ceasing to be legal tenders here in Nigeria. So let's listen to what he brought back.
It's a bit favorable to Nigerians. At least we ease the suffering and the stress of Nigerians, so we plus him for this.
At least with their money now, people will not complain much. If that 200 Naira note is available.
With the fact that you can actually spend your old Naira note is kind of a relief. The 200 Naira.
At least it will give an ease, but the only issue I see there is the 200 Naira is not even much available like the higher notes.
So this 200 Naira policy, Mr. President has said it will continue to, the old one will continue to be in existence till April 10th or so. It's a welcome one, but at least something more should be done, because you can see all the banks, people are in front of banks everywhere, and all the ATMs are not dispensing. No money in the ATMs. When you talk, the banks will tell you CBN has not given them money.
But what we want now, what the society needs now is money.
Since morning, I've been here looking for how to get money that I can use. And I cannot even withdraw 1 Naira. Even 200 Naira, even the old one, I'm looking for it, I can't even withdraw anything.
All right, thank you very much, Oyemi Ajayi, for the compilation of the comments of a cross-section of residents of the Federal Capital Territory on the President's broadcast yesterday. With us in the studios now, for further discussion, I would like to welcome a regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria, Dr. Abdulrahman Hamisu. He's a political scientist. Dr. Hamisu, we're glad to have you this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay. Also here with us in the studios, it's NTA's correspondent here in the Federal Capital Territory, Bosede Abel. Bosede, glad to have you again on the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, from Benin Network Center, who will be joined by Agatha Egware-Ujo. Hello, Agatha. Hello, Agatha. Can you hear me?
Claire, good morning. Good morning, Kingsley. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll just kick off with you. Yesterday we saw some video clips, of course, you know, sorry, on Wednesday, of what happened in Benin. And in the video clips I particularly saw, I noticed women who appeared to be market women. I don't know. What can you tell us? What exactly happened?
Well, Wednesday, it started like every other normal day in Benin. The usual waking up and people moving, people going to school, people going to their places of work, till about 9 to 10 in the morning. I guess, before then there had been complaints that the banks were not collecting the old denominations, 500 Naira, 200 Naira, and 1,000 Naira, that some of the banks were no longer collecting. And of course, some business owners too were not also collecting. So there was that problem already. And then on Wednesday, when people couldn't even do any transaction with 500, 200, 1,000 Naira, the next thing, they all trooped to the banks. It was in fact, it was something like a reminder of what we saw during the NSAS period, from, if you are conversant with Benin, from 5 Junction to Ugbowo, Uniben Main Gate, all of that, we had barricades at different parts of the different sections of the road, and for every bank around that axis, had their ATMs destroyed, their glass walls broken. Then if you come down to Ring Road, that's the city center, that's above Verame Square, branching off by the right, Akpakpava, you have the CBN office, and then a good number of banks located on that business district. You know, from that point till Dawson Junction, all the banks there. You had some, even cars in the banks were not spared, even though they were not for the banks, they were for customers who went to do some transactions or the other. They were all shattered. Some of the security posts burned. You know, it's been a whole, and not just the banks, the POS operators also had their own fair share of destruction too. You know, we have proliferation of POS operators in the city. Most of them, we were told that some of them, they had their cash forcefully taken away from them and their kiosks broken, campaign billboards, everything pulled down. Even one of our colleagues here, she was, in fact, she escaped by a stroke of luck. You know, she was covering the protest from, or the riot from the 5 Junction axis. That's close to where we are now. That's the corporate head office of NTA Benin. And she was chased back into the office. It took intervention of some military men to disperse the crowd. And so it's been kind of a tensed situation here. But from Wednesday, yesterday was Thursday, it was a bit better. There was an uneven calm in the city, a city that usually experiences the hustle, bustle of the day. It was quite calm. In the mornings, you had a few people, few children going to school, few people going to work, few businesses open, few cars around, till about the later part of the day when people gradually started coming out. Even today, it's a lot better today, because at least while I was coming back from work, while I was coming to work, you could see the usual population of people, children going to school, people going to their places of businesses. You know, it has really, 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 really peaked.
Agatha, I still want to stay with you. What is the indication you are getting from financial transactions? Those banks that were damaged or touched, obviously they are not open. But what is going on in terms of everyday transaction? Are people accepting the old and the new notes, or are POS operators back in business? Are traders accepting cash transfers?
Okay, like you said, the banks have remained closed, even for areas where the protest didn't get to, like some parts of Airport Road, you know, also parts of Ekenwa Road. The banks have remained closed. So also with POS operators, they are just nowhere inside, probably for fear of being attacked. But the situation has remained like that, and we don't expect them, with the level of loss, the huge loss from the protest or from the riot, we don't expect them to even open today. It's already Friday, so probably we'll be talking about sometime next week or the upper week, pending when they can, you know, put back ATM machines, or the POS operators can have confidence to return to their base. But the thing is, some people are now gradually using bank transfers. Like if you go to fuel stations, you're encouraged to use your card. If you have ATM card, you know, you slot in your ATM card and then you can buy fuel. But for now, there is really nowhere you can get cash, because the banks are not working, POS operators are not working. But yesterday, that's the state government, began a disbursement of funds in major markets like Oba Market, Uwa Market, Ekiwa Market, Ekiosa Market, New Benin Market, Uselu Market. That's the major markets in Benin metropolis. You know, people can actually go there and make transactions, maybe collect cash. Like I can tell you that the one for Oba Market as at yesterday was already paying people, but the queues there are quite long. But I think that's how it will continue, pending, because the protests really, really worsened the situation, nowhere to get cash. And for people who can't even use their phones to make transactions, you wonder where they will go to now, because the banks are not even working. And even if you do a transaction that doesn't go through and you're debited, you can't even complain, because there is nobody to complain to. There's nobody to complain to. Yeah, what you are seeing on the screen is Governor Obaseki he went round yesterday to see the level of destruction on banking facilities. It was really, 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 really bad. Like I said, some ATM stands, you even had the machines pulled out of the stands. It was really, really bad. But like he said, he has even also given a free bus ride to people to cushion the effects of the hardship. It started yesterday and it will run till Monday next week. And on my way to work, you could see that's through the Edo City Transport Service. You could also see that this morning at their bus stops, different locations where I drove through, you had a good number of people already there, waiting to catch free bus rides.
Agatha, thank you. And indeed, the visuals, the destruction, that we see, are not encouraging at all. But you just said that the banks are still closed. The POS operators are not working. It may appear that the situation may degenerate. I don't know. Are the measures put in place by the governor? Do you think they're enough to keep the crowds, from, taking laws into their hands?
Well, for now, the city is calm. Yesterday, the police was on a show of force around the city, and it has said it will not tolerate any act of violence. And the governor has also told the police officers the police to increase operatives around the banking facilities to keep safe. And of course, when you get to the axis where you have the CBN, a good number of security personnel are there. You can't even drive through. If you know Benin very well, you have to, from that point, from Akpakpava, from the King Square through Akpakpava to Igbesama, that's opposite the Holy Arosa Cathedral, is completely barricaded. If you have any business to do there and you are with a car, you have to park your car somewhere and use your foot. But for now, the people will just have to make do with what they have because the banks are not open. There's no sign that they will open any moment from now. They'll have to make do, and your POS operators are not even working. Like yesterday, it was even very difficult for me to get cash yesterday. So they'll have to make do with what they have, because I think if you really need cash for any transaction, what you need to do is to probably go into any of the major markets where government is engaging some POS operators there. That's, for now, I think that's the only way people can get cash. And I don't think there will be further destruction because, like I said, the city, the calmness has returned, and the usual hustle and bustle of the city has returned. We just hope that as the minutes or as the hours go by, we'll see Benin come back to what it used to be again.
Agatha, thank you very much for the views that you have put across, as well as the situation of the city at the moment. I did say yesterday, Claire, when we were reviewing the papers, that look, the riots are going to have both intended and unintended consequences. The example I gave was exactly what is precisely playing out now. I said, assuming, for instance, that the central bank today were to say, look, the 2.7 or 2.1 trillion naira that we've mopped up of the old currencies, we have new ones now, 2.1 trillion naira new currency, put them out there into the system. The banks whose premises and facilities and equipment have been damaged or destroyed, they will not reopen. The ATM machines that have been damaged or destroyed will not be available for you to transact your business. So when you have anger in you, you have to learn to also control your anger, because this is going to linger for a while. Those bank branches will not reopen now because the banking staff also have a genuine reason to fear for their lives. I mean, we saw one video, if you recall, sometime last week or the week before, where some banking staff were escaping through the back fence of their premises. So when people express this kind of anger, this is the consequence that you get from it. Just before we bring in Boss Ade Abel, one point, because I think we also need to clarify this, because earlier off camera, Claire and I were discussing. I want to go back to Agatha. This whole demonstration and riots and destruction would appear to have been orchestrated, in other words, pre-planned, because the video showing the scene in front of the central bank branch in Benin had the amateur narrator say, oh, look at the bus dropping off some people, you know, I mean, some some deprived part of the city, dropping off some people, and then all hell broke loose. Is there a sense in which this was pre-planned and they just visit mayhem on the city? I don't know for what purpose.
Well, I can't really say for now, but looking at the way the whole thing happened and the rush, you know, you can't actually rule that out because it wasn't just a part of the city. The major roads in the city. You had the King Square, the Akpakpava, Mission Road, Uselu, Ugbowo, Lagos Road, up to Uniben, Maiden Gate axis, all completely. But you have, I would say, two political parties, the PDP and the APC, trading words on the sponsors of the riots. Some said this, some said that. This one said this one orchestrated this one said no, that it has no point in orchestrating that. But like from that video you said, it was alleged that vehicles brought some boys from Upper Sakwamba axis. If you know Benin very well, you know what that area is like, and they came in buses straight and drove straight to the CBN trying to gain entrance. And then we heard gunshots and you know, fired into the crowd. So you can't really say for sure what actually happened, but it was just a no-go situation.
Again, just before you go, I saw some women, and I don't know, market women, elderly women, and it reminded me of, you know, the visuals. I wasn't born then, obviously, of the Aba women riots, but the visuals we saw of those women were women, you know, who meant business. So did market women actually join, you know, in the riot?
Declared you actually that video you saw was the women from women trading around at New Benin Market precisely. They came out with leaves and, you know, some carrying their wares. There was even one dragging the feet of one man. That's the public works volunteer. They kind of maintain law and order in the market. Those were women in New Benin Market, and their cry was that they couldn't do business. They don't know how to use the phones. They can't do transfer. They depend solely on cash for their daily business, and they don't have cash. They don't know where to go to use to operate their phones. It's even a problem. So that's why you saw all of them came out that Wednesday to also show their grievance.
Thank you, Agatha. We're back to Abuja. Kisi, you want to go together?
No. Okay. I mean, Agatha, we'll just keep you on hold in the meantime. And, of course, after we take a couple of questions from our guests in the studios here, we'll return to you. Thank you very much for the insights you have given to us as to what is happening in Benin. But, of course, people are going to have to suffer the consequences of the violence that was needlessly unleashed on the ancient city of Benin 2 days ago. Now, back to our studios here, Claire.
Yes, Bosse, all seems to be calm in the capital, at least the capital territory. But certainly it doesn't mean that things are better here in terms of access to cash.
Okay, so I went round after Mr. President gave the approval for the old 200 Naira note to be in circulation. I went out and I still met same queues, angry residents, and with mixed reactions. Some people were happy that the old note is back, thinking at least it will ease the stress as at that yesterday. They will just, you know, have their access to their money, while some were not so happy because they're like, okay, they've already gone through the stress and hurdles of not having cash and all that. Mr. President would have left it the way it is, so that it's just a phase that is, you know, will phase off very soon. While some were indifferent, if there is cash, if it is back, fine. If it is not, we are used to the hardship. Then the stress, and people were now getting agitated. They just wanted to get the cash, thinking, you know, all the banks already have, since they already have possession of the old notes. Some people also made observation that they would have also preferred the old 500 naira and 1,000 naira, you know, to go hand in hand with the 200 naira note. So I was able to go into some of the banks, you know, to ask why the queues were still the way they were, and I was told that the monies, you know, have already been mopped up by the CBN. They've already, you know, taken the monies to the CBN, so they now have to wait, you know, for CBN to release the money back in the system. So the situation as at that yesterday was just not so good, although residents, you know, remain calm, and we think by today, you know, the day is just starting. We hope the money, people will have access, you know, to the notes. At least it will kind of ease the tension further.
Let's ask a question. I know that, I will say this, I remember, Claire, you know, when we were much younger, and I also saw that with some of my younger ones, if our mom was going out, we will ask, you say, okay, let me say it in Benin. You don't know you have the baby. It's a coin. That's so to use this one so that have this money on you, so that you can use it to hold your body in case you want to buy, you know, any candy or anything you could buy. Is it just the feeling of having cash on you, or it is a desire to actually have cash and continue to use it for transaction? Or, as we have also acknowledged on the program, people want to make that transition to say, look, if my card is acceptable, that's my debit card. Or if I can make a transfer and I make a transaction and I get a credit, why do I need to have why do I have to keep going back to the bank every time? And why don't you have the discipline? So what is the desire? Is it just to have money on you, or to have money and then be spending and come back again, get cash and be spending, rather than migrating to e-platforms?
Well, the truth is we've been used to having physical cash. You know, we are used to having physical cash, and all of a sudden when this policy came, you know, as the Nigerians that we are, we're thinking, okay, maybe it is just one of those things. We didn't see it hitting so hard the way it is now. I was opportune to speak to some market women yesterday, and one in particular said something that her business was kind of stood still through the period, but as soon as the president gave approval for that 200 naira note, that her business started picking that morning, and she would rather have that cash. I also went to one of a man that sells suya, and I told him I needed chicken. How much? He told me the price, and I said, okay, can I do a transfer? And he said, Auntie, sorry, I don't do transfer. I want my money. I don't have a bank account. And I said, with this kind of large business you have, how have you been able to? He said he believes in now, as in one day at a time. So at the end of the day, somehow we're able to, you know, I was able to make that transaction. Most people, especially the unbanked, they believe, you know, whenever they need their money, they just want to have it. They just want to see it. That enables them to know how far they are going in their business and so on. It's a system we are used to. But then most people are also, the transactions have kind of channeled into the e-platform, you know, for some people that already are used to it before this policy came. Okay,
let's just put you on hold because we have two issues we must discuss today. But Kingsley, I think it's more of the frustration arising from routine failure of electronic transfers. That's the problem. That's why people really want their money, because they don't trust the system. They don't trust that if I make this transfer to you, that you will get it, So the frustration from that is what is, prompting the need for cash in pocket, so to enable me to do what I want to do at whatever time. Dr. Hamisu Abdurrahman.
The banks have to invest in better e-infrastructure.
Precisely.
Yeah.
What's your perspective to all this?
There's multiple problems. The problems are at different levels. And the first culprit is poor policy planning and policy implementation, arising from poor analysis of stakeholders. There are persons that are not earning more than 2,000 naira a day. These persons want their cash because they want to go and eat. They want to take care of their family. So you don't expect them to earn 2,000 naira, deposit it, and go to withdraw. In fact, the 53 naira they are going to charge them from that money is a problem. There are persons today, if you send them money to work for you, they will ask you, Oga, please put smarting for bank charges.
Yes.
Is that bad? The Okada rider, the Akara fryer, the Ogu sellers, these are petty traders. When the Chinese want to go cashless, what they did first was to create platforms that are easy to operate, and that no matter the level of your education, you could comprehend, coupled with trust system. I trust you that if there is transaction between you and I, and you do the transaction, I will get it. In our own climb, you have people that are faking alert. They buy things from you, they send you alert, you receive the alert, but it won't drop in your bank. And this is the point. And the second thing was what you said, the failure of the platforms. Some other times, you do the transfer, it will show to you that the transfer, they would have debited you, but they will not credit the other person. I have a brother whose wife gave birth and they needed to conduct a surgery on the baby. He was to use his account for transaction at the National Hospital. He asked his brother to fund the account. The brother sent the money as early as 6 a.m. He was at the hospital. The money did not drop until 4 p.m. Assuming if it is an emergency situation. And the bank said, the hospital said they are not going to touch the child until they receive payment. So the young man was frustrated. Now, when you talk about, nobody is even talking. For instance, I know that if I have this kind of policy to implement, and people are becoming agitated, arising from frustration, now you don't give room for speculation. You don't give room for fake news. You need to have a desk that will be addressing the nation, addressing the people. I'm talking about the CBN. The CBN is not the CBN of Emefiele or the CBN of President Muhammadu Buhari. It's the Central Bank of Nigeria for Nigerians, for God's sake. And Nigerians are becoming agitated. So you need somebody that will be addressing the concerns of the people. You go to the banks, they put the blame on CBN. Nigerians don't have access to CBN. But again, Nigerians are seeing some kind of a situation where the high and the mighty have access to new note, and the Nigerians that needed 2,000 naira to go buy gari to transport themselves from where they are working back to their base. Somebody said he trekked from Gwarimpa to Mararaba because he had only 1,000 naira note, which is old note, and then the driver said they are not taking.
So quickly, can you itemize the gaps?
So the gaps, and what I'm saying, first is from the very beginning, if you conceive a policy, it's not even the implementation that matters, but what are the infrastructure that needed to be in place? What is the level of enlightenment that's supposed to go into that? And then as you continue to implement, you continue to review. As you continue to review, you now know where the challenges are, and then you communicate appropriately. But in this very particular policy implementation, there is a gap between what the CBN is doing and what the CBN is saying, what the banks are doing and what they are saying. So you leave the people more confused.
You remember, Dr. Hamisu, sorry, because we must end.
Yes.
Remember that the whole confusion now was generated by the court case.
Yes.
You know, from the governors.
Yes.
So do you think that the governors ab initio, I mean CBN ab initio, would have had the kind of, you know, consultation with the governors?
Of course. You see, I know that what really happened was that policy was made to be a surprise to everybody because it's targeted at politicians, at merchants of insecurity, those that are kidnapping. Well, it's very good. But once you start implementation and it comes to challenges, it is now time to appeal for calm, to talk to people, to tell people what they are doing. Just like what they did during the COVID. There was a perpetual desk that was talking to people, addressing people's concern, taking action, and then reviewing the whole process. But it is not done. And then you go to bank today, you queue from morning till evening. They tell you the money has not come from CBN. Tomorrow you queue, next tomorrow, and then the food you have in your house is depleted. You can't go to the pharmacy to procure anything. You go to buy things, they tell you we need cash, and then you don't have. And this is just the challenge. What you are doing is you are radicalizing the people. And people can cash in on it, just the way we saw in Edo. Now people are just being calm, but we will reach a point that, look, nothing will calm them except that they have access to cash or whatever so that they can get what they need. So we're tactically radicalizing the people. The anger is growing every day. Where you have a CBN that the governor was saying in a clip that was circulating, that those that want to fight him should come and fight him. No, it's not, nobody wants to fight anybody. But what we are saying is, this is Central Bank of Nigeria, and must be responsible to Nigerians, and then must be able to speak to our frustration so that we know that if we are calm, we know, okay, we have 2 weeks to make this sacrifice. And then whatever we need to do, we need to. It will interest you to know that from Abuja, people are mobilizing cash. We're billing cash to KB Sokoto Zamfara as a way of cushioning the effect of this lack of cash or cash crunch. So it can't continue like this. This is what we are saying.
Okay, Dr. Abu Hamisu, thank you very much for the points that you have raised. We have to call it time on this first topic. The issues you pointed out, particularly two of them, the Central Bank of Nigeria has shown very poor public communication on this issue. Poor, there's no question, we just can't sugarcoat it. Yeah. Very poor public communication, and the CBN has to overhaul its public communication machinery. But at the same time, I raised this on Good Morning Nigeria sometime in the past. Why is it that the Bankers Committee also was quiet?
Yeah.
Considering some of the shenanigans that were going on in banking halls. Bankers Committee kept quiet. Yeah. We can't continue to flog the CBN down the value chain. Where were members of the Bankers Committee? Where were the individual banks themselves? Their image was also being affected. Yeah. The only statement I read came from ACAM, that's the Association of Corporate Affairs Managers of Banks. And of course, I don't think anybody attached any weight to the statement issued by the corporate affairs manager, because people knew what was happening. Yeah. And then we also have to blame ourselves, Nigerians, who are greedy, holding these monies and so on and so forth. It's a subject that we'll keep, of course, referring to, because there are many perspectives to it, and where we see what the legal consequences also will be. I don't want to talk so much now about some of those issues. On which note, we'd like to appreciate our three guests who've been with us on Good Morning Nigeria today. Here in the studios, Bosade Abel, NTA correspondent in the Federal Capital Territory. Thanks a lot for being around.
Thank you for having me.
And Dr. Abdul Rahman Abu Hamisu, a political scientist. Thank you always for being our guest.
Thank you for having me.
From our Benin Network studios, we were joined by the NTA correspondent in Benin, Agatha Eguare Ojo. Agatha, thank you very much for being with us. You don't look like somebody who is cashless, but so...
She has cash. She has cash. Agatha, you said you have cash. Please, send some to us.
So,
there's a disbursement there, and there's a free bus ride. So it is what it is, but we'll have to survive. Thank you, Kingsley.
The rest of your weekend. All right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the NTA's network service. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have a conversation with the presidential candidate of Boot Party because of tomorrow and some officials of the party. By the way, the candidate is a mathematician.
Why do you want it to continue after now?